It's 6 a.m. in Rotorua on the North Island of New Zealand, and the athletes are making their way to the start line of the vibrant Tarawera Ultra Marathon. Now in its 6th year, this is a rapidly growing ultra-distance running event. And for the first time, the event has been awarded the status of an official Ultra Trail World Tour event. And as a result, the race numbers have more than doubled in 2014. And the quality of the field has improved dramatically. It's been a breakthrough year for Paul Charteris, the event organiser.
The first race was 2009 in March 09, and we had 67 runners back then. 66 of them were from New Zealand, and we had one overseas runner at that race. So it was very, very small. It was relatively new for New Zealand to have a race of this sort of distance, this whole type of concept. So a very small field to start with. The race has always been kind of special on the calendar because it really is a beautiful course. It's a stunning run around 4 lakes, and you follow the Tarawera River. There's such a diversity of scenery, and you run from one city to another town, from Rotorua to Kawerau, and that's really attractive for these type of runners. What's really happened for this year is the event has joined the inaugural Ultra Trail World Tour, and this is where 10 of us, the biggest racers in the world, have got together and we've formed a true global circuit of trail ultramarathon running. So that's brought a lot of attention from some of the world's best runners to come down here and participate. So there's a lot more runners here from many more countries. In fact, runners from 28 countries this year.
My name is Hiroshi Ando. I'm from Japan, Osaka. Yeah.
My name is Victor Ferrando. I am from Barcelona, Spain.
I like so much this country, and I choose New Zealand, my first 100 kilometers, because I ever saw this beautiful country.
And all the way from Oregon, USA is Sage Canaday, the defending champion.
Oh, last year was a blast. I really had a lot of fun. It was my 3rd 100K, and I knew a lot of the runners that I was racing, especially from the US, I'd run against. So I did have some expectation, and there was some pressure, which I actually kind of like, because it's kind of an extra challenge. But I was just really enjoying the race, and I opened up quite a bit of a lead early on. I think I went too hard too early. I was worried I'd lose my position in the last 10K or so, but I was able to finish and hold off the other challengers, so I was really happy with how last year went.
This year, Sage and the other athletes get the traditional Pafiri welcome. And it's the cultural experience that many of the athletes will remember as long as the event itself. But the scenery and the steaming baths and the bubbling mud, all part of this fascinating event in New Zealand's North Island. And those staying on after the event will get to experience extreme nature and extreme sport. Well, despite the calm start, the first drops of rain begin to fall, heralding the arrival of Tropical Cyclone Lucy. And over the past few weeks, the organisers have been tracking this cyclone, which certainly has the potential to be an event stopper. In the end, the threat of 120-kilometre-an-hour winds has led to a course change, and the runners will now run on a 70-kilometre course rather than the planned 100-kilometre route. But there are plenty who are happy with the decision.
It's going to be awesome, man. It's going to be great. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and I think it was a great call. And I think it's going to be really cool that we're all going to see each other coming back. Yeah.
For me, since it's still the beginning of the season, I'm actually happy that it's a shorter race.
Exactly. Still 65K, needs to be respected, and I've got a bunch of mates back in Australia that are injured, couldn't make it over here, so, you know, fact is I'm uninjured. I'm running 65K through New Zealand a couple of years ago. I never would have even dreamed of that, so, yeah.
The people of Te Puaia get the official proceedings underway with a rousing haka, and the 2014 Tarawera Ultra Marathon is officially underway. The standard excitement at the start of an ultra marathon. Both athletes and spectators and supporters delighted to see the event getting underway. And the first few kilometres in darkness, certainly testing those up the front of the field. But it's a steady, steady climb out of Rotorua. And pacing, even at this stage, essential. 850 athletes entered. And even in the first few minutes, strung out because of the pace set at the front of the field. Familiar faces at the front, Sage Canaday setting the pace early on. And the first change to the course comes early on with the runners doing a 10-kilometre loop out and back from the start line. Now this gives the crowd a real chance to see their athletes as they come through that 10-kilometre marker. Two Kiwis at the front of the field in the early stages. Sam Clark in the white top. Also got Martin Lukes there in the black top. And they're setting a fairly ferocious pace and have left the favourites behind for now. Michael Wardian, Kiwi Vajin Armstrong and Sage Canaday, the defending champion. And now the runners off onto the original course as they head out towards the lakes and some of the best scenery in New Zealand. Still Sam Clark leading for New Zealand, and he's built a 50-second lead over the rest of the field and Martin Lukes, his compatriot. And the leading women, Shona Stevenson, who's very highly regarded, being chased hard by Jo Johansson. Now she's relatively new to this sort of sport, but a very strong athlete indeed. And she's been putting in a lot of hours of training, apparently in the last 12 months. And we'll see how long she lasts in this 70-kilometre ultramarathon. Well, there is Johansson going past Stevenson and making it look easy on one of the uphill sections. And there you see the Blue Lake, which is the first of the lakes that they come across. Then as they head north, they'll go past Lake Okaraka and onto Okataina before turning back towards the finish at Lake Okaraka. Michael Wardian, Vajin Armstrong, easily identifiable in the red vest. And then at the back of that group, we've got Martin Gafuri, who's dropped his water bottle.
That's teamwork. Thanks, guys.
Certainly is. He may hang on to them a little tighter on the next few sections. Still, we've got Sam Clark leading the way. He was 50 seconds ahead. Now it's cut to 40. And I wonder whether this is going to be the end of his lead. The chasing group and all the elite still very tightly bunched. Scott Hawker, one of New Zealand's best ultra runners, moving nicely, moving efficiently, and he's already got one 100k race under his belt this season.
Amazing opportunity now with you know, the Ultra Trail World Tour and things like that sort of coming along, that runners are able to travel to different parts of the world. And I was just in Hong Kong in January for the Hong Kong 100, which is the first race. So whereas I think maybe a couple of years ago that wouldn't have been happening as easily. So yeah, it's exciting, and for me to maybe possibly in the next couple of years maybe have a more of a sort of full-time thing being the running. If I can be running more and working less, I mean, that's a, you know, perfect in my book. So yeah, hopefully you'll be aiming towards that. So yeah.
On come the elite group, and here is Sam Clark still holding on out front, extends his lead by another 18 seconds, so he's finding a little more energy. The man in red is Vajin Armstrong from New Zealand. Michael Aish is there. Canaday is also still looking very, very strong. And we've got Yin Kuai-o from China also in that leading group. And on to the first road section, but it's short, and then they'll be back into the forest, which is the running that all these men enjoy. And there's Michael Wardian with the white cap.
I've been second in the world at the 100K World Championships and third in the world in the 50K World Champs. But I love running on trails too, so I just won the Coastal Challenge, which was a trail race in Costa Rica a couple weeks ago. And there's a couple series now, and the Ultra Trail World Tour is one of those series, and so it has races in like Hong Kong, There's just a race in the Canary Islands last weekend. Now there's this race in New Zealand for the Tarawera 100K. I'm always trying to strive for that next level, and like hopefully like all these events and things that I do will help push me to that next level. And I think competition and racing is one of those things that allows you to really find the depths of what you're capable of.
Well, he's certainly got himself in a good position as they approach the aid station at Lake Akaraka. Fluid, food essential to take on in large quantities. This is Martin Gafuri being assisted by his girlfriend and soon-to-be pacer at the end of the race, Anna Frost, who's a world-class ultra runner herself. Her advice should be useful because Martin doesn't have a huge amount of experience at this distance.
It's been pretty new to me. Like I always stick to up to marathon distance on trails, and I decided last year to try and compete a notch higher with international competition, and I decided to compete in the Skyrunning Ultra Series, in which I placed 4th. And this marked the beginning of a more dedicated training, entering the New Balance trail running team. And so from there I realized, wow, I might as well get into more international races, because it's a great scene, it's always a great field. You get to meet new people, you get to travel to beautiful places. So it's a great opportunity to me, not only to challenge myself running, but also to explore the world and meet new people.
Back to the women's race, and it's the novice ultra runner, 33-year-old Jo Johansson, who broke away at just past the 15-kilometre stage. She's been holding a good pace since then and consolidating her lead over Dawn Tuffrey. Tuffrey making sure she takes on all the liquid required, leading the chase, and she should capitalise if Johnson has got the pacing wrong today and fades in the latter stages. In the men's race, it's Vashin Armstrong who's setting the pace, a man who finished 4 times in second place last year. He certainly deserves a win, but only 10 seconds behind him, we've got Mike Aish of New Zealand and the defending champion Sage Canaday of USA. Join us after the break to see if Johansson and Armstrong can hold on. Welcome back to New Zealand and the Vibram Tarawera Ultra Marathon. 14.8 kilometres to go to Okataina, and that's the turnaround point. And of course, it signals the big climbs of the race. That's where we could see a few casualties. And ahead of the runners now, 14 kilometres of pristine New Zealand forest through to the next station at Okataina. Here they'll retrace their steps and head back to Lake Akaraka for the finish. And this is some of the most magnificent forest in New Zealand, packed with tree ferns and ancient native trees. Now the weather continuing to deteriorate, but under the canopy of the forest they should be okay. Into Lake Okataina aid station. And the fans awaiting the leader, and here he is, Sage Canaday, and he's flying 6 minutes 53, clear of his nearest rival. Now this man can run a 2:16 marathon, so we know he can do the speed, and he's got the record on Mount Washington as well, so he's not bad on the climbs. Well over halfway, and looking just as good as he did when he won in 2013. Now, you're permitted pacers on certain stages of this race, and Canaday has picked up Kerry Suter, who was the race winner back in 2009, and I think he might need someone of that quality just to stay with him. Second place, it's Yun Yingquao of China. He's got a PB for 100 kilometres of 8:41, but finds himself over 6 minutes behind Canaday at the moment. Had 3 big wins last year. Yingquao certainly heading for a podium. This is Mike Aish, who went with Canaday early on, now finds himself over 8 minutes behind. I think maybe paying the price for pushing too hard. But you can never criticise someone for effort. And Mike Aish now has a pacer as well, which may help.
Well, you know, like, this is very new to me. This is like my 3rd month of actually doing this, so honestly I've got hardly any ideas. It's been the biggest learning curve. I think I've got a few races in the States coming up soon, and for this first half of the year, the biggest one will probably be the Western States 100 mile, and I'm quite petrified actually. It's a long bloody way. But I'll continue to train. I like the work. I've got a strong body, so I can handle a good amount of work, and we'll just see where it goes, see how it plans out. I'm under no false impressions that I'm gonna be anything super or special, but I'm trying my best to be.
Well, we'll see how he gets on. Here is Scott Hawker now. He seems to be having problems. The outside of that left leg.
Done it before, just go through it. Been through it before, Scotty? Yeah, no, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, that's right, man. Go, Scotty.
No, he just wants some of it.
Well, this is going to be tough for Scott Hawker. His parents giving him support all the way round. Manuel Lago all the way from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. What an effort to get here alone. And into the aid station, Claire Walton, 29-year-old from Merseyside in UK. Now, she won the Tahoe Rim 100-kilometre recently, and so is on very good form. And also an enthusiast triathlete as well.
I've no idea how many people are in front there.
I don't know. There's not many. Yeah, it was going quite well until, well, those guys are a lot faster than me, and then I've had a stitch for the last 15 Ks and I actually started peeing blood.
Well, due to the course changes, the athletes now find themselves retracing their steps all the way back to Lake Okereke. And a new 3rd place man, Vagin Armstrong, still looking very fresh indeed and enjoying the soft trails. Mike Aish has dropped back to 4th place. He wasn't looking very happy when we saw him in the aid station. And 2nd place, and hanging on, is Yun Yingquao, but still losing ground to the race leader. Looking a little heavy, a little laboured, the Chinese athlete, and certainly not making up any ground on this man. Sage Canaday, a steady pace, comfortable breathing, and closing in on the finish with no sign of danger behind him. He'll see nothing. He's a long, long way clear. What a job from Sage Canaday in the yellow vest. Kerry Suter steps aside the pacer. And Canaday is going to be the first man to retain the title in the Tarawera Ultramarathon. A winning time of 5:33, averaging 4:45 per K.
To be able to come back 2 years in a row and see all the hard work that race director Paul Charteris put in, and he's able to invite me back again. It's just a huge honor, and it's really exciting for me because I love traveling and I love competing against the best international runners at all sorts of different venues, all sorts of different courses and different distances. And this is a really unique, special course that you don't really see anywhere else in the world.
And a fantastic effort from Yingquao of China, one of 28 nations represented here today, and he's claimed 2nd place. Vagin Armstrong moved into 3rd place with 20 kilometres to go, and he's looked strong ever since, finishing very fast. On the podium yet again, that elusive win may be round the corner. And Mike Aish, who dropped out of the podium positions at the last aid station, comes in 4th place. Another fine effort.
I just was absolutely giving it death all the way along the right. I didn't even want to look back. I didn't want to know. But my pacer did a great job. He just kept encouraging me, kept me positive. And yeah, I'm stoked. It was an awesome, awesome day.
I'd try to see, you know, where I could fit with the top boys, and, you know, they smashed me. You know, I had a horrible part for about 2 hours, and, you know, at one point it was all I could do just to stand up. I was falling all over the trail. It was bad, but, you know, I pulled through it, and you have those ebbs and flows, and, you know, I'm happy with myself. I made it to the end. I'm really glad it wasn't 100K, because I wouldn't have made it.
Scott Hawker overcoming the injury on his left leg, and he's finished only 33 minutes behind the winner in 5th position. That's not a bad effort. And what about this? Jo Johansson has been leading the women's race for some 55 kilometres, and she hasn't weakened. That metronomic step just keeps pounding out the kilometres. A fantastic effort from her. She's going to be just over 7 hours today. Trying to hide the smiles, but inside she will be bursting with pride. For a relative newcomer, that is an unbelievable result.
It's pretty surreal, really. I just felt comfortable. I felt strong, and I don't know. I didn't know how it was going to go, but I wasn't expecting to win.
Claire Walton in 2nd place in the women's, and she's not under threat from Dawn Tuffery, who's a further 4 minutes behind. Walton, who won the London Ultra Trail back in 2012, finishes 2nd here in the Tarawera. And Dawn Tuffery smiling pretty much all the way round the course. She's really enjoyed her day out. A time of 7:16 and 16 seconds. 3rd place. So let's have a look at the men's results. Sage Canaday defending his title, 5:33.38 the winning time. Young Kwaio in 2nd, and Vajin Armstrong, who remember led for a while, finishing 3rd. In the women's, Jo Johansson claiming the title with a brilliant performance, well clear of Claire Walton of Great Britain, and Dawn Tuffery, who was in 2nd for so long, eventually finishing down in 3rd place. Well, congratulations to all those on the podium, but don't forget all the other runners that just came here to finish, and they've done exactly that, and they should be proud of their achievements today. Incredible physical exertion, racing for 7, 8, 9, some going for over 10 hours today. A family affair for some, a fantastic affair for Johansson. She was sensational in winning the women's race, never really gave anyone else a chance. And in the men's, of course, Sage Canaday defending his title. I wonder if he'll be back next year to make it 3 out of 3. Well, it was a necessary decision from Paul Charteris to shorten the race. A brave one to start it at all with the impending storms. The dark start in the early morning just adding to the atmosphere. We've seen some brilliant performances, some unforgettable achievements. And we'll be back next year for more of the same, and hope to see you then. Goodbye for now.